Greetings. Hi, I'm Dr. Walter Jacobson, board certified psychiatrist, and today's show is about can people change? Okay, so there's that old joke about how many psychiatrists does it take to change a light bulb? And the answer is one, but the light bulb has to want to change. Okay, so yeah, that's the answer. Okay, is the show over? Yeah, that's it. You got to want to change. Yes, people can change. You have to want to change. You have to be highly motivated to change. And but then that's not it, obviously. You have to work at it hard. You have to be patient. You have to be persistent. You have to persevere. You have to make mistakes. You have to fall down. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's constantly being vigilant over your thoughts, recognizing your errors, understanding your defense mechanisms, particularly denial and projection and displacement. You've got to pay attention. Okay, if you pay attention, you can fix yourself. You can change yourself. It's all a matter of programming, mind programming. Okay, but it's not easy. You have spent decades, most likely, thinking a certain way, feeling a certain way, thinking that your thoughts just pop into your head, thinking that your feelings just are what they are, and that you have no choice or control over them. And your behaviors. You're impulsive. You react. You don't think, and so consequently, you have thought, emotion, behavior, habits that have built up over decades. So if you have a really bad habit, which most of us have, because that's why we want to change, because all of our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors and habits are taking us down the wrong road, are taking us down a road of unfulfillment, of unhappiness, of dissatisfaction, of damaged relationships that aren't satisfying, aren't nurturing, aren't truly loving. They're conditional, they're expedient. We've accepted them, we've tolerated them. We coexist with them. We coexist with our jobs. We coexist with the garbage noise in our head. It's not necessary. We can change, but it's going to take a lot of work to change the old habits into new habits. And basically what we're talking about is changing the way you look at the world, the way you look at yourself. Mostly you got to get out of yourself. Most of us we're always thinking, what's in it for me? We're always thinking, how can I get what I want? And the grand irony of change and growth is all about humility and humbleness and letting go of needing to be first and deciding to share and care and try to see things from the other person's point of view and to try to see give the other person the benefit of the doubt rather than make assumptions that people are trying to hurt us or purposely trying to ridicule or shame us. And so therefore we get angry and we get defensive and we attack back. There are so many ways in which we are our own worst enemy. And it really comes down to just the way we perceive our place in the world and the way we interpret the data in the world. Can people change? Yes, but it's very, very hard. When you're in a difficult relationship, or a relationship where you're always fighting all the time, there's a lot of anger and aggression, and your partner says, don't leave me, I can change. Most likely, the answer certainly is yes, but most likely he or she won't. Because in that moment, they're motivated. You may leave them, or they get scared and they get abandonment feelings or whatever. But in that moment, they may be motivated. But then later, when things sort of get back to normal and some of the tempers and tensions calm down, then the motivation goes away. Okay, so if you're in a relationship with somebody where they're telling you that they can change, the proof is in the pudding. You've got to see it. Now, certainly, that doesn't mean that they're going to get perfect immediately. They're going to get right immediately. They're going to repair themselves immediately. But you need to see progress. You need to see people making the attempt. You need to see people recognizing and checking themselves and being aware and fine-tuning and making gradual step-by-step improvements. If you don't see that, they're not really putting the effort into it. When someone really wants to change, it becomes obvious, and they do. And it may be in baby steps, but it's real, and you can see it, and you can feel it. You feel a difference. They're different. You can feel that difference. So, but if you're the one who says, I can change, give me another chance, or whatever. Are you telling your boss you can change? You're telling your girlfriend or boyfriend you can change? You're telling yourself you can change. I can stop procrastinating. I can stop self-sabotaging. I can become rich and successful. All of these, I can. Yeah. Yes, you can, but you need to change. You need to pay attention. You need to put the energy into it. This is not like this is not a walk in the park. If you really want to change, you've got to work at it every day. One day at a time, so you don't overwhelm yourself, but every day you've got to do it. And by the way, if you are changing, let's say you've been in a relationship and the relationship has been difficult and you've alienated people and you've built up resentments in people and they're angry at you and they don't trust you because you've broken boundaries and you've broken trust, and then you start to change, you start to take these baby steps, you start to grow and can kind of get better at it. And then, but they're not falling all over you. They're not going, oh, fantastic, this is great. He's back and we love him, and let's give him a big hearty handshake and a pat on the back. No, they don't. A lot of times it takes a while for people to defrost, for the trust to return, for their resentments to go away. And so if you are changing and growing and making that attempt and you don't see them falling all over you and being grateful to you and blessing you, you don't see their resentments melting. Be cool about it. Don't get angry. You need to be patient. It took a long time for you to destroy their trust. It took a long time for you to really get them to that point of no return. It's going to take a while for them to trust the changes that you're making and to have faith that this is a person who truly has turned a new leaf. So that's part of the process of changing, is if you don't see the results you want immediately, or if you don't see people responding the way you'd like them to, that be careful, because then your inner critic can jump in and go, see, it's not working, there's no point, you might as well revert back to the way you were. No, you can't listen to that voice, and you've got to stay the course, stay with the program. Ultimately, you need the motivation to change. You need to want to change for yourself. It's got to be you. You want to change for you, and then everybody else is icing on the cake. Better relationships, better jobs, better money. It's all icing on the cake. You want, what you really want, whether you know it or not, is inner peace. You want to stop the noise. You want to feel the love inside of you and the love for others. You want to feel warm and happy and joyous and free and peaceful, without the anxiety, without the depression, without the mania, without the agitation, the irritability, the anger. This is what you want. This is what you can change. But it takes work. Now, a lot of us have our inner critic, the voice telling us, don't do it, you're not deserving, it's not going to work, it's never going to happen, you're not smart enough, why bother, give it up, watch TV instead, play some more video games. She'll get over it, he'll come back to you. All this inner critic telling you all sorts of crap, all sorts of toxic messages to give up and defeat yourself. And you need to learn to shut that voice off. You want to change, you got to shut that voice down. You got to recognize when you hear it. Don't identify with it. Don't go with it. Don't believe it. You've got to challenge it. You got to tell that voice, that inner critic, to shut up and go away and haunt somebody else. And you've got to fuel another voice inside your mind, the voice of your inner colleague, the voice that says, yes, I can change. Yes, it's worth it. Yes, it will take time. Yes, I need patience. Yes, I need perseverance. Yes, yes, it will happen, but it will take a while, and that's okay. And it's worth doing. It's worth going after. Anything is possible. So change requires neutralizing the inner critic, maximizing the inner colleague. You've got to recognize your mistakes. See, everything is fine-tuning. Everything is fine-tuning. If you fall back into an old pattern, an old habit, a thought, emotional behavior habit that's toxic and impulsive and aggressive and angry, you catch yourself. And then the next time maybe you'll catch yourself sooner. But whenever you do catch yourself and correct your course and get back to a place of compassion, acceptance, calm, forgiveness, generosity, grace, whenever you you got to make amends. If you've hurt somebody in the process, you have to own it. You have to take responsibility for your mistakes and for the hurts that you do to others. And so any of you, those of you who have trouble saying I'm sorry, and who are, their ego doesn't really want to tolerate them saying I made a mistake, I was wrong, and so you make up excuses and you deny stuff and you blame other people, all that's got to go. All that's part of the change that you need to make. You need to own your mistakes. And be big enough to say, yes, that was wrong. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I raised my voice. I'm sorry I bullied you. I'll try to do better next time. This is part of your change, part of you reinforcing wellness in yourself, and part of you establishing the bond of trust that you want with the other people. Because when they see that, you're taking responsibility and want to own what you've done, and that you have remorse for what you've done, this will matter to them. And then they will really start to reinforce your healthy, loving behaviors, and that will give you greater strength to stay the course and stay with the program. Get rid of contempt. You want to change? Get rid of contempt prior to investigation. Someone says, I think you ought to do this. I think maybe you ought to go to meetings. No, they'll never work. They're no good. That's not for me. I'm not like those people. Yeah. Well, maybe you ought to go see a therapist or a psychiatrist or a therapist of some sort. No, I don't have to do that. There's nothing wrong with me. I can do this myself. I don't need anybody else. No, thank you. You're the one who needs the therapy, not me. Get over it. Get over that. Okay? If I had cancer, if someone said, hey, guess what? You got cancer. What would I do? I would do everything. I would go to a Western medicine doctor. I would go to an Eastern medicine, alternative medicine, complementary medicine. I would try, I would meditate. I would affirmate. I would visualize. I would take the drugs if there were drugs to help it. I would take the herbs. See what I'm saying? I would do hypnosis. I would do everything possible to try to heal myself. The same is true when your mind is sick. The same is true when your heart is sick. You got to do everything possible. Who knows what might work? It might be one thing, it might be another thing. It's never a waste of time. It might be a combination of things. You need to do everything in your power to change and grow and become more aware and to raise your consciousness and to embrace love better. You got to do everything. So you want to read more. You want to think more. You want to dialogue more with healthy people who have healthy spiritual ideas and healthy philosophical ideas, healthy psychological ideas. If you need to go to meetings for addictions, if you need to go to group meetings for traumas, if you need to, if it might help, I don't even say you need, if it might help to go to these things, it might help to see a therapist, to talk things through, to get another perspective, you need to do it. Don't put all your eggs in one basket saying, I can do this myself. Yeah, I listened to this guy on the internet. I heard this show, and he says I can change. And all I got to do is practice. Yeah, right. Yeah, you need constant reinforcement, constant reminders, constant affirmations, constant input. Right. You want to change. You don't have to get rid of the people in your life, but you really do have to. You do have to try to set boundaries with the people in your life. Those people who are toxic, those people who don't respect your boundaries. If there are people in your life that encourage negativity, encourage violence and aggression and anger and judgment and attack, they're not your friends. They don't really care about you. You hang with them, you're going to hang with them. Okay? You need to break free of all influences that would discourage you from going towards the light of truth, the light of love, the light of compassion, acceptance, letting go of judgment, the light of tolerance and acceptance and patience, etc. Okay? So you have to stay away from toxic people, places, and circumstances which will drag you down and eliminate your resolve. Your resolve. You need resolve. You need to keep the motivation and the inspiration going one day at a time, every day. Change is not easy. Okay, so you've got to stay positive. You've got to recognize negativity wherever you see it and eliminate it. Now, some people think that being positive is like magical thinking. It's silly, right? So if there's an earthquake, what are you going to think positive? If you got cancer, how are you going to think positive? If life sucks, how is that positive? How can you be positive? Well, the point is, the reality is that no matter what is going on in your world, there's always another way to look at it. There's always a way to look for the blessing in disguise. There's always a way to look for that silver lining. There's always a way to gain some benefit, some advantage, despite the hand that you're dealt. Despite any disabilities and liabilities and lack and limitations, there's always a way to put a spin on it, to put a positive spin on anything, so that there's hope, and so that there's joy, so that there's love. Okay, in this present moment, in the eternal now, you have a choice to be happy or sad, to be angry and full of grievance and bile, or not. Or to be happy and joyous and free and accepting and to enjoy the present moment. You may not know what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day, and it may look bleak, but in this present moment, and I'm not saying this is easy. It's not. With the pressures of life, it's not easy to be happy, in a moment, in an eternal now, in the present. But you can be. And it's worth working towards, and it's worth working on, and it's worth always looking for a better way, a positive way to see things, rather than a negative way. The half full versus half empty. Now people say, well, that's just Pollyanna. That's magical thinking. That's silly. No. Actually, the thing about Pollyanna, the story about it is that the Pollyanna was not in denial about reality, that things were bad, or that she wasn't getting what she wanted. She wasn't in denial about it. She just decided that she was going to, take the lemons and make lemonade. She was going to make the most out of a bad situation. That's what I'm talking about. See, because you've got to stay optimistic. You've got to stay positive. You've got to stay hopeful because it's the best way to be. Because no matter what's going to come down the road, if you're all angry and pissy and depressed and terrified and anxious, whatever's going to happen is still going to happen. So why not try to choose happiness and joy until that unpleasantness happens, as opposed to a lot of people who anticipate terrible things, catastrophic things happening, and they ruin their present moments so that they get nothing out of life. Because not only does the bad thing happen, but they spent every single day leading up to it being miserable, anticipating, catastrophizing, feeling terrible about it. You might as well live each day, with as much joy as possible and as much hope as possible, And the other point is that whatever will be. But if you're negative and cynical and depressed and pessimistic, you're more likely not to see an alternative that might actually get you out of the mess you're in. You might actually not have a perspective, an insight, a brainstorm. You might isolate yourself and not network with others who might together come to some solution that might help. So negativity and pessimism is just a bad idea, because what will happen. But more than that, maybe what will happen won't happen if you're positive and hopeful, and open, and your mind is clear and free of the debris and noise of fear, and anxiety and dread. Catastrophic thinking in general is like a problem. You get fired and it's hard, or you get laid off and it's hard to find a job. And so then you go to the end game. The end game is, I'm never going to find a job. I'm never going to make any money. I'm never going to be happy. Or someone breaks up with you. I'm never going to have a girlfriend. I'm never going to have a husband or a wife. I'm never going to have a family. I'm never going to have kids. I'm going to die alone. You go to the end stage, and then you get deeply depressed and demoralized and anxious and angry. A mistake. Don't catastrophize. Look at the data. If you want to change, we're talking about change. A big way to change is to not jump to conclusions, not make assumptions. Look at the data, look before you leap into some catastrophic, fear mode, and ask yourself, is this realistic? Because I broke up with her, does that mean I'll never find anybody? No, it doesn't. So don't go there. So stay calm, figure out what went wrong, and get better. Get better at reading the red flags and the warning signs in the next person you meet. And get out of that relationship before it starts. or figure out what you did to alienate and push somebody away, and get better at that. That's where the change is. So change isn't just making changes. Change is also changing everything that you do, including how you analyze a situation, whether you catastrophize, whether you're impulsive or not. If you're in a fight with somebody, in an argument, and you're yelling at each other, and that's your MO, that's what you do, that's something you need to change. And I'll tell you, it's very simple. What you got to do is disengage. Go to your separate corners. If you're fighting, you're not effectively communicating, so stop it. Go away, get calm, think about it, and come back another time, and attempt to do a reconciliation, a negotiation, a compromise, to see each other's point of view, to remember that you're in it together. It's not like dueling forces in a relationship. It's two people trying to get along. Most relationships, it breaks down to like, I'm not getting mine. I'm not getting my needs met, screw you. No, it's got to be two people trying to get each other's needs met together, to be fair and loving. Be willing to take risks is part of change. A lot of people are afraid to change because they're afraid, and you got to get over this. That's another part of how you change, is you got to get over the fear of changing. Because as you start to change, as I said, there'll be some people who will recognize it and appreciate it, and will thank you and reaffirm it. But then there will be other people who your changing will make them uncomfortable. Your changing will threaten them because A, they're not making the kind of changes you are, and deep down they know they should get healthier and wiser and more loving, and they're not doing it. So you changing threatens them, and also they fear that you will change and get so healthy and well that you won't want them, that you'll abandon them. So what do? They try to get you off your spot. They try to discourage you from change. You start to lose weight, and they say you're getting too thin. That's their discomfort. You're not getting too thin. You got to stay with the program till you lose enough weight, and you're at your ideal weight. But a lot of times they'll make these comments: you're too thin, or you're going to get sick, or this or that. It's their own fear, their own anxiety. They're not changing. They're afraid you will change and abandon them and not need them anymore. So you've got to recognize these behaviors in people. That people may discourage you in subtle ways, body language. They may try to shame you. They will discourage you. You got to recognize it. Now, you don't have to hate them for it. You don't have to resent them. You can understand that they're coming from a place of fear, and you soothe them and you thank them, but then you don't hear them. You don't let them get into you. A lot of times we're afraid to change because we're afraid that they'll abandon us. We'll go to another place, and they won't want to be around us. And so that's a discouragement to change. But remember, change, if you had a plan to change for a good reason, if you were motivated for a good, healthy, positive reason, then fear, you got to eliminate fear from the equation. You can't be afraid. The change I get might be worse than the crap I got now, so I better not. No, that's the inner critic again telling you to stay the way you are. You got to neutralize it. You got to get any kind of fear. You've got to neutralize. And by that I mean, it doesn't mean that you don't feel it, but you don't give it power. You don't let it rule you. You don't let fear make your decisions for you. Okay, what? Let go of anger. Did I say that? Yes. Forgive. Be of service to others. You want to change? It's hard to change. Practice, practice, practice. Repetition. You'll change your habits. You'll change your ways. I guarantee it. It can't happen any other way. The mind is a computer. It's a computer. Now, there's a lot of stuff in the unconscious which is running the game, and the more you can bring to conscious awareness, the more that you can realize, I'm this way because this is what my folks did when I was little. They made me doubt myself. They made me feel insecure. They made me feel unloved. Okay, and so that's why I feel that way now. Oh, I see. So, right, I don't have to hate them. They didn't do it on purpose, but I don't have to now transact with the world and relate with the world as if I'm this weak, terrified, frightened, incompetent person. So the more insight you have as to like the roots of your behaviors, the roots of your insecurities and your fears, that can help. That will give you insight. If another way to change and to help you to change is to realize that most people don't know what the hell they're doing. So when people attack you and hurt you, it's not because they're evil. It's usually because they're mentally ill. They're confused. They're angry. They're scared. They don't have a clue. And compassion and empathy is always a better approach. The more compassion and empathy you have for others, the more compassion and empathy you're going to have for yourself. The more you forgive and love others, the more you will forgive and love yourself. This is change. This is part of change. Forgive others, forgiving yourself. That's changing. As opposed to hating and loathing yourself and sabotaging yourself, you love yourself, you accept yourself, you forgive yourself, right? That's the change you want to see in the world. You want to see that change in the world? You want to see that change in you? Forgive others, love others, be generous, be caring, be sharing. Be of service to others, do esteemable acts of kindness to others, pay it forward. Stop thinking, what's in it for me? Turn it around to how can I help you? The more you get out of yourself, the more you get out of your ego, the more you stop keeping score. Stop, who owes me what? Well, I paid for that, so you owe me that. I did this for you, so you should do this for me. Get rid of all this conditional crap in your life. And love, forgive, accept, be generous, unconditionally, without needing anything in return, and without exception. Don't pick and choose who you're going to be kind to, And if there's judgment in your heart, if there's anger in your heart, if there's racism of any form in your heart, if you want to deny it, but deep down it's there because it's been embedded and ingrained, you need to learn how to get rid of it, how to let it go. I mean, we see this all the time. People who, in general appear to be healthy and conscious and loving, and then suddenly they get angry, they get full of rage, and they say these horrible racist, homophobic stuff. It's weird. Where did that come from? Well, yeah, it's in there, unfortunately. It's not who they are, but it's in there. So all of us have to be vigilant over the dark forces in our mind, the dark thoughts, and learn to neutralize them, and learn to rebuke them, and learn to go forward with love and compassion, acceptance, and forgiveness. And if you withhold forgiveness from others, you're withholding it from yourself. And if you withhold it from yourself, it'll be really hard to change, because change is all about loving yourself. If you love yourself, you'll want to change. You'll want to reward yourself with change. If you loathe yourself, you'll believe you deserve punishment, and the punishment will be not changing and staying in the emotional prison you've put yourself in, or you were put in, and now you have a chance to get out of, but you won't, because you're reinforcing the shame, guilt, and self-loathing that's deeply embedded in your unconscious mind. The way to get rid of it: forgiveness, acceptance, love. Hold that thought. Forgiveness, acceptance, love. You want to change? Be loving. You want to change? Be loving every day and in every way. Find ways to be loving, to heal others, to be accepting.
Seconds.
Alrighty. I think I covered the territory. Okay, so that's the story. WalterJacobsonMD.com. My website, bunch of videos there, and you can learn a whole bunch of fun stuff. You can also download my book, Forgive to Win, for free, the e-book download from my website. You can join me on Twitter or Facebook. Let's see, that's it. Okay, take care. Peace be with you. See you next time.